Today, we're going to dive into something pretty fascinating. We're going to explore an ancient spiritual practice, but we're going to look at it through the lens of modern science. We'll be digging into how a discipline that was meant for the soul might also be a powerful reset for the body. So, let's get right into it.
So let me just start with this question. What if a practice designed thousands of years ago for spiritual growth actually held a kind of blueprint for cellular health, one that we're only just starting to really understand today? That's the core idea we're going to unpack.
Okay, so before we get into all the cool science, we've got to start at the beginning to really get the full picture. We have to understand the original intent. What's the spiritual purpose, the why, behind Islamic fasting?
Well, the practice is called Ṣawm, and on the surface, it's about abstaining from our most basic physical needs, from sunrise to sunset. But here's the absolute key, the secret ingredient, niyyah, which means intention. That single element is what transforms it from just, skipping lunch into a very conscious and deliberate act of worship.
And this verse from the Quran, it just cuts right to the chase. The ultimate goal here isn't about feeling hungry or thirsty. It's all about cultivating taqwa, a state of heightened awareness, of mindfulness, of being truly conscious of God. And what's really interesting is that this isn't just a once-a-year thing during Ramadan. Nope. The tradition is packed with all these voluntary fasts. It shows that this was always meant to be a regular tool, something to be used consistently for spiritual and moral fine-tuning.
There's this really powerful metaphor from Islamic tradition that I think sums it up perfectly. Fasting is described as a shield, a form of protection.
A shield, okay, but a shield from what? From our own impulsive behaviors? From spiritual forgetfulness? To really dig into that, we need to switch lenses now, from the spiritual to the scientific. All right, now for the really cool part. Let's take a look under the hood and see the remarkable chain of events that fasting actually sets off inside our bodies. So for the first several hours after you eat, no big deal. Your body is just running on glucose from that meal. But then, right around the 12-hour mark, something incredible happens. Your emergency stash of sugar, it's called glycogen, it runs out. And your body flips this amazing metabolic switch. It stops burning sugar and starts burning fat for fuel. This produces these little energy molecules called ketones. And that metabolic switch, well, it's basically the key that unlocks this profound deep cleaning process at the cellular level. Think of it as your body's built-in spring cleaning service, and it's called autophagy. It's pretty amazing how it works. When your cells aren't getting a constant stream of nutrients, they go on a mission. They start hunting for junk, like misfolded proteins, damaged parts, just general cellular gunk. They wrap it up, break it down, and then they recycle it into new, usable parts. It is literally cellular repair and renewal from the inside out. Okay, you with me? We've got this spiritual goal of purification on one hand, and this biological process of cellular cleanup on the other. So what happens when we put them side by side? And this is where it gets just mind-blowing. The alignment is striking. The spiritual goal of self-restraint, well, that mirrors scientific findings about strengthening the impulse control pathways in our brain. The aim of spiritual purification, that lines up almost perfectly with cellular detoxification, autophagy. It's an absolutely fascinating parallel. So that's the theory. But what does this all mean for you, for your health, in the real world? Let's look at the tangible benefits that modern research has started to identify. Physically, the list is seriously impressive. We're talking about better insulin sensitivity, which is huge for metabolic health. It helps reduce inflammation all over the body. It ramps up that cellular repair we just talked about. And it just gives our digestive system a much-needed break. And it's not just your body. Your brain gets a major boost too. Fasting has been shown to increase something called BDNF. You can think of it like fertilizer for your brain cells. It helps you learn and form new memories. This is probably why so many people report that feeling of incredible mental clarity and focus when they fast. But here's the thing, it's not just about a single biological event. The recurring, structured way this is practiced is actually a powerful framework for building lasting discipline and good habits. I mean, if you look at the science of how we form habits, this is a textbook example. The consistent repetition literally strengthens the neural pathways in your brain. The ritual timing, like fasting every Monday and Thursday, makes it so much easier to stick with. And having that defined window just naturally cuts down on impulsive, mindless choices. Okay, before we wrap this up, there is a really, really important point we need to make here.
It's all about having the right perspective on these findings.
And that crucial point is this. Science isn't here to prove or validate a religious practice. That's not the goal. Instead, what it can do, which is super fascinating, is offer a potential explanation for the how. It gives us a glimpse into the physiological mechanisms that might be at play. So, we have to remember these key things. First, the primary goal of Islamic fasting is and always will be spiritual worship. Second, the science shows really interesting correlations, but that's not the same as proving causation for every single person. Benefits can and do vary. And of course, this approach isn't for everyone, and for some people, medical supervision is absolutely essential.
Which brings us to a pretty profound final thought. We started this entire journey with Niyya, with intention, as the core of the spiritual practice. And we ended by seeing a whole host of amazing biological benefits. So the question to really reflect on is this. How deeply does the why behind our actions truly shape the what that happens inside our bodies? Thanks for joining me for this explain.